Hello, you guys, and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Profits Show. I appreciate you taking your time to be here on this Monday afternoon. We've got an interesting topic today that I get questions about every once in a while, but it's one of those things that I guess people really aren't thinking about. We'll get to that in just a moment. I want to tell you a little bit about this show and what we're doing. My name is Jim Landers, and my mission is simple. I help portrait photographers like you make a great income doing what they love. Each week you get tips and systems on the business side of photography, designed to help you gain a mastery over the marketing and sales, reducing the struggles that most photographers face so you can finally get what you deserve. You're in the right place. Welcome to the Portrait Profits Show. The Portrait Profits Show is brought to you by Digital Pro Lab and Landers Photography School. And we have Amanda here with us from Digital Pro Lab. Was I supposed to bring you on?
Works for me. Hi, everybody. Thanks again for joining us for another Portrait Profits session. We definitely love doing every single Monday. It's been very, very enjoyable for both myself and Jim to be able to share a lot of knowledge that we don't necessarily find readily accessible in the photography, especially the portrait photography realm. Otherwise, a lot of people are having to, speak to other photographers to learn some of those things. But Jim and I are actually taking the time to curate and put topics out there that help to answer a lot of the burning questions that you have. So we're very excited and eager to provide that for you. And we've been using this great utility called StreamYard so that if you can't make it exactly on the times that we have those sessions scheduled for, you can always hop over to any one of our Facebook or YouTube channels and rewatch those sessions. Again, Digital Pro Lab really is happy to sponsor this Portrait Profits for you and the Portrait Profits that have come before it, because we know how valuable the knowledge is to helping you expand your businesses, and more than anything, we want you to be successful. So if you're not familiar with Digital Pro Lab, we are the largest professional full-service photo lab in San Antonio, Texas. We not only cater to our digital photographers, but also film photographers. We're one of the last film photography labs here in San Antonio. And we offer everything from professional photographic prints, everything from silver halide prints, all the way up to giclée prints, canvases, metal, wood prints, and lots of different specialty items. And we love working directly with our professional photographers to curate their particular products that they want to offer their clients. So we encourage you to go over to digitalprolab.com at any time, check out what we have to offer, come in to Digital Pro Lab here at 10103 San Pedro. Here again in San Antonio, Texas. Come say hi to our staff. They would love to show you all the different things that we have to offer. And myself, Amanda, the owner of Digital Pro Lab, I'd love to show you one-on-one what we can do to help expand your business. So thank you again for joining us, and I'm going to kick it back over to Jim.
Thank you, Amanda. We sure do appreciate you, and Digital Pro Lab is freaking amazing for the San Antonio photography community and well beyond. You guys rock. Thank you. Well, you guys are here because you are interested in sponsorships and alliances. And we're going to talk about that in here in just a moment. But I want to encourage you. I want you to know something. You're watching this either on Facebook or you're watching it on YouTube. If you're watching it live right now, that means I am encouraging you. I'm talking to you. You can like, love, you can comment, you can say whatever you want to say. You can add in questions. You can make nice comments. You can make, well, not so nice comments if you want, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to make happy ones, and I can show them on the screen sometimes. If I see them, Amanda is standing by. She could watch. She could see that too. And I want to encourage you guys to comment, to ask questions. We will answer your questions if we can, especially if they're relevant to the topic. If they're not, maybe we'll put them to the end if we've got some time, or I can answer them off air when we're not doing the show. But either way, we encourage those questions. We want you to ask. We want you to reach out. Hit that like button for me. Hit that love button for me if you really like what we're doing. And you can actually do it multiple times throughout our show. So I want to say hi to some of you here. I see Miguel saying hi. Hi, Miguel. And I'm sure there's some others, but I can't see you unless you comment. So comment so I can see you. Thank you guys again for being here. Let's see. Today we're talking about how to get sponsors and alliances. And that's even if you're new, which is probably surprising to some of you. I mean, let's talk about that for a second. If you're new, you're feeling like, well, who would want to work with me? I'm new. Guys, there's other businesses who are new too. You can grow with them. So yeah, this is for you. For the established ones, yeah, you're thinking it's easy for them. But for you guys who are doing this for this, you're relatively new. And what's new mean? New is kind of a state of mind, just like age and a lot of other things. If you feel you're new, you're new. If you feel you're mature and you've been doing this forever, okay, then you're not new. You get to define it. I kind of define it as someone who's been doing it less than 5 years, or who does it part-time here and there for maybe under 10. But it depends on what they do, how much effort they put into it. So that's not a good definition, I don't think. It's just an initial definition. So let's talk about what is a marketing alliance. And that's interesting. My screen has gone blank. So my notes are gone. I can do this without them. That is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. My screen's gone blank. I believe that I'm still here, but there's nothing on my screen anymore. I can see a thumbnail down at the bottom. I can see myself. All right. Well, I do have what is a marketing alliance and what is a sponsorship. Let's talk about those real quick. A marketing alliance is an agreement between you and another company which benefits all parties involved with marketing. Now, there is more to it than that. That is a quick definition, a quick description of what it is. And you know what? I'm going to see if I can give me just a moment to see if I can fix the problem I'm experiencing here. Thank you guys for being patient with me while I figure out why I can't see my screen. Thanks, Miguel. I'm going to close out of a program that I think is causing the problem and then bring it back to see if that's what it was. This is fun. All right. So that might have done it. I'm going to restart that program and find out if that did the trick. Got my fingers crossed. think that did it. Yay. All right. So what is alliance marketing? Alliance marketing is an agreement between you or your company and another company which benefits all parties involved to help make your marketing, your concept, your product, or your service, and to help them market theirs. It's a symbiotic relationship, which can be long-term or can be short-term. It goes by other names, possibly joint venturing or strategic alliance, but I call it alliance marketing. And then what is a sponsorship? A sponsorship is a business. Excuse me, a sponsor is a business that supports another business or individual in return for promoting its concept, services, or products. So a sponsorship is the mutually beneficial relationship between two different entities. So are there any questions that you have about that before I move into the how and the why and what to say? I'm going to go over to the comments. Okay, good. Thank you for being here, Stephen and Rick. I can see some of your names here. Yay. I'm glad you're here. Wonderful. So we're going to spend a good amount of time and attention on these things and what to say, how to say them. I even have some scripts that you can use, that you can send emails, you can read, or you could use as a telephone script while you're calling someone. And so all these things I'm going to be showing you throughout the episode today. But let's talk about what it is that you need to even begin this process. Because like I said, you can do this even if you're new. There are some advantages if you're a mature company, but still, you can do this even if you're new. It's up to you. It's up to your personality. It's putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation in order to get comfortable with it later. So let's talk about designing your program for alliances and for sponsorships. There's 3 things that you need to get going, to get started with. And those 3 things, let's get rid of that. There we go. The 3 things that you need to, and we're going to talk about how to do this here in just a moment too. You need to write down a list of companies that target the same people that you target or that you want to target. Number 2, you're going to find out who it is you need to speak with at these companies. And then number 3, you're going to put this information in a database so that you can continue to reach out and you get better and better at this. Now, let's talk about who it is that you might align yourself with and why you might do this kind of thing. And we're talking about both sponsorships and alliances. I will lean heavily on the alliances side because they are very easy to get. But I want you to understand this isn't a handout kind of a thing. You may think of a sponsorship as a handout, something where some company is giving you things. And that kind of thing exists, but that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a symbiotic relationship, something that's very beneficial to both parties. And yes, those can be. But I'm going to be talking about how you can do this right here in where you are, wherever you are in the world. This is something that you can do. You can align with businesses in your area that are within your target market. Now, who might you do business with? Well, I'm going to tell you who I have done business with over the years, alliances that I have formed over the years. By the way, alliances can be very lucrative and bring you a steady, qualified group of leads every single month. So it's fantastic. And so I have worked with real estate agents. I've worked with publishers of local magazines. Those magazines that are just for one city or one small town or one neighborhood. A lot of neighborhoods just have a newsletter, or maybe it's an online thing, but there are some that have a physical magazine. And those are the ones that I have targeted because they do a family spotlight in every single episode. And so I will photograph that family, They will go on the cover or maybe interior or both. And I get possibly an ad, but at the very least, I get those people who have just that family that's just been sent to me. And since it's a monthly publication, they're sending me business every single month. Now, why would they do that? Because they need it for their magazine. Why would I do it? Because that's what I do. I photograph families. Let me tell you specifically, I photograph emotional family portraits as home decor. So the people that work with me want their photograph to go on the wall. I'm just describing what kind of tool I am. I know a lot of people have this mindset that the way to describe what you are is to blanket, to make sure that you cover all the possibilities. That's the worst way to market. It'd be like saying there's one tool at the tool store that can do everything. Yes, there's multi-tools, but even they can't do everything. And yet some photographers think they can. Come on, guys, get real. You're going to be really good at the things you focus on. You're going to be very average on the things you thin yourself out with. Do you want to be average? You can be. You can make photography work as being average. You can. But if you want things to move, if you want people to notice who you are and be able to come back to you and recommend you, the best way is to isolate one thing or maybe a couple of things that are very similar so they get known for something. You get known for something when you describe what it is that you want. And so people may ask me, well, how many of your clients actually needed family portraits or wanted family portraits? All of them, because I told them that's what I did. Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. How many of them ordered wall portraits? All of them, because I told them that's what I did. And so people are thinking, well, how do you get started in printing? How do you do this and that? You tell people what you do. So the place you start isn't with pretty pictures. It's not with posting ads in Facebook. It's by describing who you are, how you want to be perceived. And so I very clearly describe myself in a way that causes those people to call me. And if they're not looking for that, they don't call me. Now you may think, well, that means you're losing out on money. No, it doesn't. Because it causes me to get the kind of client that I'm looking for and spend my time with them. Those are the ones that make me happy, get me excited and get me up in the morning. That's where I get my energy from. Just anybody? You guys have had clients that you don't think are all that great. It's probably because of your target marketing. With alliances and partnerships, with alliances and sponsorships, you have to have your target market very well defined, or you're going to have a really hard time making this work. Because you've got to be clear in your description. And then you can find companies that are aligned with the target market that you've chosen. Now, I mentioned the magazine. I mentioned real estate agents. There's a bunch. Do you guys have any ideas on what types of businesses are targeting the same target market that you are, but are not competitors to you? Feel free to put those in the comments. Glad you're here, Angel. How about financial planners? If you're a family portrait photographer, financial planners. And we'll talk about the how here in just a moment. Marketing, good, Matthew. Matt Egan says marketing directors, social media, good. Rick, I'm going to help venues. Yeah, good. There's a ton. There's so many businesses that are after the same people, but they're not competitors that you can work with. So how about insurance agents? Yeah, voice actors. Okay, yeah, that might be a good one. Hair salons, pediatricians, bankers. Yeah, I'll tell you a story about a banker real quick. So again, I specialize in family portraits as home decor. So therefore, how about if I worked with a local bank and did a families in business promotion event, special event? And so I go and I talk to the whoever's in charge of marketing at that bank. And I say, you know what? The two of us could work together and it would really benefit both you and me. Would you give me like 5 minutes to tell you what I'm thinking about? By the way, no one has ever said no to that question. They may have delayed me and saying I can't now, but no one has said no. No one's ever said no to me on that question. And I've been doing this for a couple of decades. So I understand that we as creatives might be a little bit insecure or uncomfortable with going up and talking to someone. But if you've got your idea clear and everything makes perfect sense to you, and you're able, because you've taken the time to write it down, convey what it is that you want to say, then you're good. So I'm talking to this marketing person at the bank, and I say, you know what? I know that you're just like any other business. You want to make your clients happy. You want them to be endeared to you. You want them to love you. Well, I've got a way that causes that to happen for both of us. It's a win-win. Would you give me 5 minutes for your time to explain what I'm thinking? And all of them say yes. So here's what I'm thinking. You choose to give a gift of a family portrait to 12 families in business, 15 families in business, 20. It depends on the space that they're going to be able to do what I'm going to say next. I'm going to photograph each and every one of them, and I'm going to print it large, put it on an easel, and we're going to have an event in your lobby. All these images are going to go up. You're going to invite all these families, and I'm going to invite all these families in. The only thing that you have to do is send out the invitation and provide some type of refreshment. It could be wine and cheese. It could be whatever it is you want to do. But you're going to cause them to come in and see these photographs. They're going to be proud of this. Why would they miss it? They wouldn't. They're going to be there. And they're going to invite friends. This is going to be something that causes a buzz. They're going to photograph themselves with their photograph, put it on Facebook, tag you as the banker. You're going to get so much attention because of this. Now, you may think, okay, well, I can see how that benefits me. How does it benefit you? By the way, I love working with people who have a win-win attitude. They're my kind of people. Everything you do should be with a win-win mindset. What could benefit them? What could benefit you? If you can define that, you're going to get alliances and sponsorships. You are. I've done it many times. So I'm photographing all these families. Yes, it takes a little while to do that. This isn't something that happens overnight. And that's fine. We're doing what we love. I am selling these photographs to them. Do every single one of them in this particular special project. And this is just one example of many that I'm going to share with you. Does every single one of those 12, 15, 20 families buy a photograph? No. No. It's usually 70 to 80% though. And when I do these special projects, my average sale is just over $2,500. So you do the math. If you've got 12, multiply by 2,500, and you tell me whether it's worth it or not. I'm glad you. Thank you guys for continuing to post some ideas on who you could work with. Yeah. So that was a bank example. How about a dermatologist, a restaurant owner? Well, let's talk about that for a second. So the restaurant owner, and that means it needs to be someone who actually you can talk to, a decision maker. So this isn't a chain. This isn't a things that can't do much to the decor of their environment, who don't have control over that. And so I'm not talking about Chili's, Applebee's. I'm not talking about those kind of. I'm talking about when I'm thinking restaurants, I'm thinking more along the lines of a locally owned restaurant where there's just one location, maybe two, but just a local, where you have the ability to talk to the owner. The owner's there, maybe not all the time, but you have the ability to visit with the owner. Now, here's how I go about that one. I determine I seek to determine whether this fits my target market or not. And so I go to the restaurant. First of all, is it in a location that you think that is a good target market for you? And let me do a quick comment about income. If you guys are targeting people with lots of money, you're targeting incorrectly. You need to target people with lots of value for photography, because income is not a relevant variable. And you know this. Have there been times when you've wanted something, so you saved up for it? You've done whatever it took in order to get it? Of course you have. It wasn't because you had plenty of money in the bank. It was because you valued that item. So choose your alliances and sponsorships based on value, not income. By the way, my average sale, and some of you have heard this before, my average sale for 2017, 18, and 19 for family portraits was $3,800, just a little bit over that. The average type of person, like job-wise, teacher, policeman, fireman, yeah, those kind of jobs. It wasn't because they had huge amounts of money sitting around. It was because they had huge amounts of value for what I do. So you may be thinking, well, how do you get those people? Okay, that's for another session. One way you do that, though, is by having alliances and sponsorships. That's one way to do that. All right. So with the restaurant owner, this suggestion I was just making, I go to that restaurant and I sit down and I have lunch or dinner. Probably going to bring Robin with me. Or maybe I have a lunch appointment with a photographer. I do that every once in a while. Since 1991, I have had lunch or I've gone to the studio of over 500 San Antonio photographers, because I've always been curious about other photographers and what they do. So I've done this kind of thing many times. And so I go to this restaurant and I experience it. I find out, do I like this environment? Is this a place where I think my clients would be proud? Because I'm going to be recommending this or some restaurant. Am I going to be proud to recommend this one? If I am, wonderful. I will ask to speak to the owner. And I will comment about, hey, I'm a local business owner too. How's business? I'm shooting the breeze for just a little while. I want to find out if they have some concerns, because if I can determine a problem that I can help with, I've got his attention or her attention. So a lot of times with the local business owners, their need is pretty simple. I need more buns in these seats. Not in the oven, on the seats. You guys know what I mean. I need to fill more tables. That is the number one reason I heard when I talked to restaurant owners. I need more people here. And so, you know what? We target about the same market. I've got an idea about how we can be both mutually beneficial. Do you have a moment for me to share my thoughts? And every time, I guarantee you, every time, unless they're busy doing something, but they didn't come out and visit with you if they did. And so every time they're saying, sure, I got a moment. Go ahead. And they may give you a small time limit. I got 5 minutes, or I can put something off for 5 minutes. So and that's all I need. And so I'm saying, all right, so here's my thought. The images, the pictures that you have on the wall, the decor you have on the wall, it's nice. Do they cause anyone to come into your restaurant? Is there any one of these or all of them where people are coming from wherever they are? They're thinking about your restaurant because of the decor on the wall. And of course, the answer is no to that. What do you mean? No. Okay. I can make the decor on your wall bring people into your office or into your restaurant. And here's how. You give a gift. And it doesn't cost them anything. I'm giving this to them. Why would I do that? Well, because it costs me a lot of time and money to market to new clients. because I'm not having to do that, I don't need to charge for it. He's bringing or she's bringing those to me on a regular basis. And so we have maybe 12. By the way, I believe in the power of 12. 12 seems to always be a good number. So 12 alliances with a minimum of 12 images. So in this instance, 12 images on the wall. And these are, I'm going to have wall portraits that are the size that I like to sell. So no measly 16 by 20s. I'm not after selling 16 by 20s. That's what all the other photographers who are part of the crowd are trying to sell, if they're selling prints at all. So I'm not after that. Besides, have you seen a 16 by 20 behind a couch? Postage stamp. It's not the appropriate size. I'm selling appropriately sized photographs. And I speak in terms of feet when I'm talking about my photographs. 2 foot, 3 foot, 5 foot. That's how I talk about my prints. Inches? Again, that's what all the other photographers say. I don't want to put myself in the middle of the crowd. Don't you guys want to stand out from it? Of course you do. So you got to do and say things that the crowd aren't saying and aren't doing. And there's one of them. So I tell this restaurant owner, I want you to send me your top 12 favorite families. And I'm going to photograph them. And I'm going to put every single one on the wall. And I'm not going to charge you anything for it. Now, yes, that does mean an investment on my part. Time mostly. Those families are going to purchase photographs from me. So I'm actually not worried about the prints that go on the wall. And if they're having a hard time with the price, I'll tell them, you know what? I'm going to be putting a photograph up in the Smith family restaurant of this image. And, if you just want to, wait till I take it down, then I'll sell you that one. But I'm not going to say that unless they're not really interested in a wall portrait at all. That's the only time I'd ever say that. Because I actually have a use for those photographs. And I'll share that with you here in just a moment because it's part of the plan. But I photograph all 12. We put them up on the wall. And now what happens? I call each one of those and say, your photograph is now proudly displayed on the wall at Smith Family Restaurant. You've got to go see it. And guess what? They do. And guess what also? They don't keep it to themselves. They share it. They tell other people. They tell their coworkers, and they go there for lunch. Talk about filling seats. Now, you might think, well, okay, there's 12 seats that you filled, maybe double, maybe 24. So what? That's not really going to help them that much. I mean, it's good, but shouldn't there be more? There is a lot. We do this every month. Now, we do 12 to start with. We don't necessarily do 12 every single month. I probably reduce that down, and I say probably. I'm thinking in terms of what you guys might do. I'm thinking in terms of maybe 4 or 2 or even 1. But I want the owner of that restaurant to give it as a gift, not as a drawing. I want him to say, just, think that family is wonderful. I want to give them this gift. And so they give them this gift of between 1 and 4 every single month. Now, how many jobs can you handle every single month? For everybody, it's different. So you get to determine what that number is. We start off with a large number because I believe in the power of 12, and I leave all 12 up. Then as we change them out, I take one down and I put another one up. And guess what happens to that one I took down? It goes to a different place because I don't want one alliance. I want 12. So the very first one I do, I have to do all 12. But then as it flows and as I've got more and more, I'm taking one down and putting it here. Now I've got 2 alliances. I can take 2 or 3 down and put it in the third. And then I can take several more down. And I have enough to populate all of them because I've got several images, printed images, framed images, all done at that point. Man, it makes it easy. They're just sending me business every single month. Guess how much I spent on marketing when I was using this one tool of sponsorships and alliances? Nothing. Didn't spend any money on marketing, not on advertising. I didn't need to, because I had people doing that for me, my alliances. So and there's more I could talk about that. How about interior designers, fitness centers? How about an orthodontist? Before, after photographs? High school seniors, kids? Realtor, mentioned that one already. How about a jeweler? Home builder? Home builder's a good one. A car dealer? That's a good one. And I already mentioned the neighborhood magazine. And I noticed that you guys are sharing quite a bit. I guess I hadn't looked at the comments in a while, and I can see that Charlie Ray has put $30,000. So you did the math. These things work well, really well. The very first person who introduced this to me said the first time he did it. Now, that doesn't mean every time was this good, but the first time he did it, he made over $80,000. The very first time. So that was all 12. I think he might have done 20. I think he did 20 when he started, not 12. But anyway, it doesn't matter, because that's a pretty darn good number, if you ask me. Stephen Phillips. Hey, it's good to see you too. Glad you're here. And so let's talk about the how side of things. We need to sell this idea to them. We talked about it a little bit, but once you've made this list of the people who you want to work with, you need to find out who to contact. You need to reach out to them. I think that in-person visits are the best, but a phone call is good, or you could use a passive option like sending something in the mail or sending an email. Now, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to share my screen briefly. Something that I've noticed with the program that we're using, when I share my screen, I can't see anything else. So I'm going to hope that it's there when I share my screen. But I want you to see this letter that I have, and this is very generic. But this is what I'm sending the first time. So their business name, the contact's name, address, city, state, zip, just how you normally put a letter. And this is something that I think it's a good idea to mail it. So the date, then their name. So the purpose of this letter is to secure a brief, and I probably would say 10-minute. So 15-minute might be long, because it just doesn't take me that long to meet with you. I'm convinced we can increase your customer loyalty and word of mouth advertising at absolutely no cost to you. I look forward to contacting you within the next few days to schedule a time to meet. Now, this is what I would send if I've already seen them. Like, let's say that's the restaurant owner. I've introduced myself and I've talked to them, but I haven't had an opportunity to visit with them. This is something that I would send ahead, and I would definitely personalize this letter. It would not be as clinical, as clean as this. I would comment about the experience that I had in that restaurant. I would comment about the experience I had with the wait staff. I would comment about the food. I would make it a very specific thing. I would share how this is a win-win to both of us. And so this is very much narrowed down to just the things that you're going to need, but you need to add the things that are relevant to this. This can be done as an email or as snail mail, either way. My objective at that first time, the first time I met with them, you can see right here, your objective is just to get a meeting, not to sell the concept with just the letter alone or over the phone. Sometimes it's not easy. And it, of course, helps if you have a warm lead. Normally just means somebody you already know, or someone who has introduced you, who knows somebody. So a third party. But just keep at it. It may take you 10, 20, 30 or more companies to get someone to sign. By the way, usually it was, at first it was probably 1 in 10. I got pretty good at doing it though, so it was everybody at one point. But just understand, it might take you a while to get used to this kind of thing, to get comfortable with it. You can do it. Once you have that relationship though, you could have a steady stream of clients coming in without any effort on your part on the marketing side for years, as long as you nurture and care, take care of that relationship you have with that company. So treat it like gold. In fact, the way I see it, they're more valuable in gold because they give you that steady stream of income. All right, here's one way I do it. When they make a sale, now let's say it's, let me stop sharing. Let's say you want to work with the auto dealership. When they make a sale, they give their client a thank you gift. This also applies with real estate and several others. Home builders. They give a thank you gift. The gift appears to be from them. I make it so that it looks like it's from them, not you. It's worth several $100s because it covers the cost of my creation fee. My creation fee for a family portrait is $400, which is pretty normal. Pretty much everybody's right around there. I've seen few that were less, but for the most part, everybody's $300 to $400, $500. I've seen $600 and $800 too for creation fees. Let's talk about that real quick. Creation fee and the product sale afterwards. I have them separate. I don't put them together. I do it kind of like a mechanic does, parts and labor. If a mechanic can do it, why shouldn't I? That's one way to look at it. Another way is I have value. It's not just the prints or sometimes digital files that I sell that has value. I've got value. And I'm going to charge for that value. Why would that not be fair? I mean, if you hired an employee, wouldn't you have to pay them? Effectively, they're hiring you. Effectively, you're an employee. You're not, because you're a business owner. Yeah, I believe that I have value. So therefore, I charge a creation fee. You can do whatever you want. There's lots of different business models that work. So it's worth several $100s. It's worth $400, this gift that this salesperson or company is giving to their client. It cost the company nothing. I make it easy and I make it where it doesn't cost them anything. This causes them to look great and it causes me to get a client without having to work for it. There are a few things that you've got to understand. This concept is pretty easy. The execution, well, just like everything else, it takes some time to set up and it absolutely takes nurturing. You've got to keep in contact, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. You've got to keep in contact with those people you make these relationships with. After you've secured your alliance, here is one way when it's the real estate agent, when it's the car dealer, and when it's a home builder, that type, I like to give them a card with the information on it ahead of time. Now, with other types of businesses, I don't do it that way. It depends on the type of business that I'm working with. But a real estate agent, I don't want them to have to contact me every single time. Someone who sells cars, I don't want them to have to contact me every single time. And so I send ahead a grouping of maybe 10 of these cards that explain what it is, this thank you gift that they are giving to their client. This is printed material. And so I use their logo on it. And I recommend that you get these professionally printed by Digital Pro Lab. By the way, you might be surprised at how affordable that is. It's probably nowhere near as expensive as you think it is. But getting press printed materials from Digital Pro Lab just makes you look professional. which you want to come across as anyway. If you can't do it, okay, maybe you've got a color printer and you can do it at home. But I definitely recommend getting these things done at Digital Pro Lab. If you choose to have press printed products where you don't write anything, and that is in this instance, you're not writing, you're pre-writing everything. I still recommend that you initial it and put some kind of an expiration date on it. Now, you may not, it'll take you a while to get used to what that is, but I'd say maybe 3 to 6 months out. And if they haven't used them all in that period of time, maybe you need to consider that they aren't the right alliance for you, or that they didn't understand it, or that maybe you're not nurturing it the way that you should be. The initial kind of lends a personalized touch. The expiration date is a call to action. FYI, if this seems to be a point the alliance has a problem with, tell them that you will never enforce that deadline, that expiration date. Make sure the cards aren't transferable, though. We've had people try to turn them into something else. It is just for that creation fee, nothing else. Now, we give a creation fee away and sometimes a print also. Kind of depends on what the deal is. If you're going to do that, I don't recommend an 8x10 because that's what people have done for decades to draw people in. Again, you don't want to do things that are part of the crowd. So if you're going to include a print, I'd say it's going to be an 11x14. Besides, they don't cost that much. They're pretty cheap. For those of you with a studio, make sure the certificate is good at your studio only, not on location. If you're a studio owner who also does accept on location work, make sure that you have an upgrade where you can add on maybe $100, $200, whatever's appropriate for that difference, so they can upgrade it if they want to and just pay the difference. And I have not been looking at comments lately. Let me look at that real quick. So, Julie, what size are you printing and framing? And what are you charging for those framed photographs? Man, that's a great question. And to each person, they're going to have a very specific answer because each one of us has different goals, different things that we're trying to accomplish. So your price is going to be different than other photographers simply because your goals are different than other photographers. The price that other photographers charge is a totally, completely irrelevant variable to those who know how to do this business. What size am I printing? I'm usually printing a 4-foot wide print. That's pretty normal, 4-foot wide. And whether it's horizontal or vertical is depending on the space that it's in. But no matter what, it depends on the space. Sometimes a 2-foot print is appropriate. Sometimes a 3-foot, sometimes a 5. So it just depends on the space it's going to be going into. And so I do my planning session. By the way, I know a lot of photographers who don't even do planning sessions. What are you guys thinking? I mean, yeah, anyone can show up and press a button. The neighbor can do that. If you're not doing something more than the neighbor can do, why are you calling yourself a professional? This is just one guy's opinion. Yeah, it kind of gets under my skin a little bit because I don't think it's fair to your client. So I plan by going to their home. I want to see where this photograph's going to go on their wall. And a lot of times they don't know yet where it's going to go. I help them with that too. I even help them with clothing sometimes. I've seen some amazing closets. That doesn't happen very often. But if I can see the space where it's going to be displayed, I know exactly what size it needs to be. I also have an idea of what colors to suggest to them so they match the environment of the room it's going to be displayed in. I also know exactly what frame is going to go on it. So I don't bring in frames and I don't bring pictures of frames. I just tell them, I know the perfect frame for this photograph. It's perfect for this photograph. It's perfect for this environment. I'm just going to frame it for you. Yes, I'm going to charge you for it, of course. But I want to take that time off your hands. Because if I just give you a print and you've got to go frame it, that's kind of a pain. And I can do that easily. I don't do it myself. I've got someone who does it for me. but it's really easy for me to do. So yeah, I am going to get it framed for you. I'm going to, I deliver and I install. So I'm going to install this on your wall and let you live with it for a little while, experience it. And if you don't agree that that's the perfect frame, if you think that it's not right, then we'll get you another frame. And you'd only pay the difference. If it costs a little bit more, you'll pay the difference, and that's it. By the way, you probably are wondering how many times people have not agreed with my frame choice. So far, everyone has agreed with my frame choice. There's not been a single person who took me up on my offer to replace the frame. It's never happened. It's going to happen the next time because I just said that. But it hasn't happened yet. I should be knocking on wood, right? So yeah. So what size? It depends on the environment. The frame is just whatever is appropriate for that in that space. And what am I charging? Based on the amount that I'm having to pay for it, I am increasing that. And it's kind of how much effort is it going to take? Now, because I have that frame guarantee, I actually charge at least double what it cost me, because I don't want to lose money on the deal in case they do decide that that's the wrong frame. So at least double. There's the answer to that particular question on how much do I charge for the frames. Thank you for asking that question, Julie. Let's see. Rick, I hear you say what, but I don't know what you're saying what to. But I'll answer your question if you ask. Going back to, by the way, I didn't mention this at the beginning. Up until now, the Portrait Profit Show has been an hour long, but we had a few people comment saying, I feel like I'm missing out because I can only be here during the lunch hour. And by 1 o'clock, 1:10 or so, I have to go back to work. So therefore I can't be there the whole time. And so we have decided to reduce the amount of time down to an hour. So it looks like I have 10 minutes left to share this with you. You're welcome, Julie. And so the, what can you expect from these sales sessions? Here's a good guide for any type of promotion you do there when there's a free session involved. About 30% will buy nothing. Nothing. Somewhere between 20 and 30%, up to 30% will buy nothing. And that's very frustrating. Very frustrating. 30% will buy whatever your average is, somewhere in your average range, pretty normal. But you know what? About 30%, and I know this doesn't add up to 100%, but a little bit of leeway here. About 30% buy big, and they are more than my average. I believe my largest promotional one, my largest promotional sale, promotional meaning I didn't do the marketing for it. This was someone who gave that as a gift and they bought from me. It was over $8,000. Single sale. So my largest family portrait sale was $8,900. And my largest single sale, it wasn't a family portrait, but my largest single sale was $12,000. And by the way, I have nearly completely stopped doing this. So those numbers are pretty much finalized. I say this, I don't seek out any photography business any longer. I still get it though, because of clients that I've worked with in the past. And so it doesn't surprise me that I still get maybe 5 jobs a month. And so I'm still active in doing photography. I just don't do any marketing anymore. And I still have a handful of my alliances, but for the most part, I have ended those positively, and most of them have moved on to some other photographer already. So they work out well. And so let me look back at, yeah. Hi, Brian. Good. About the frames, Rick. Not all of them need a frame, of course. It depends on what it is that looks appropriate for the space it's going into. And so to me, the environment tells me what to do. It tells me the size of print. It tells me the texture. It tells me whether it needs to be a canvas or a metal or a wood or a traditional print. And almost always, for me, it's canvas. Occasionally, it's a regular print. It's extremely rare that the environment that the photograph is going to be displayed in, where metal is the appropriate choice, and even less wood. So almost always, it's canvas. I mean, it's canvas or it's traditional prints almost every single time. For me, for my target market, for you, it may be totally different. But let's see. So yeah, it's always my choice of frame. Yeah, I always choose the frame. Thank you for asking that question, Rick. So are there times when they have requested? No, but there are times when they already have a frame. So, okay, so it isn't 100%. Because there's times when they have a frame. Maybe they have an old photograph. Maybe they have a new kid in the family, or there's been some kind of a change, or maybe somebody's married into the family and they want to use the same frame. Okay, that happens every once in a while, but that's pretty rare. Usually I'm framing it. And I mentioned that the canvas, a lot of times I do the gallery wrap canvas. It's pretty darn thick, and it just does not need a frame. So I'm not framing it. It doesn't mean if it's canvas, it always doesn't have a frame. There are many times when canvases are framed. They're beautiful framed, by the way. You just get the thin mount instead of the gallery mount on those. Yeah. And I'm looking at the time thinking I need to skip past a couple of things. I'm going to share with you my marketing alliance agreement. This is what, once we've agreed, I get them to sign something. Now, this isn't a legal contract. This is just making sure that we're on the same page, because you have been in situations where you thought someone understood what was going on and you found out later they didn't. This causes problems. I do not want these kind of problems with these kind of relationships. I want these to be amazing for years and years to come, because they work. Oh my gosh, they work. And so I'm going to share with you my screen real quick. And so you can see my actual words. And I recommend that you do just a screen grab. And so, because you're not going to have time to write all this down. So I'm going to share my screen. Share. All right. So you should see my marketing alliance agreement right now. And now's the time to do a screen grab. Take it. Marketing alliance agreement. This is not a legal contract. It's a piece of paper that says we understand the benefits of working together. Simple as that. Thank you for entering into a marketing alliance with Landers Photography. I'm sure you will find that aligning yourself with us will have a very positive impact on your business in terms of how your clients see you and the value you add to their experience with their business. You get to give families a very valuable gift from a top professional that further enhances your reputation. The requirements are simple. Number one, you give us the contact for your families, or give them our information for them to contact us. Number two, you give us an ad in your magazine. Now, obviously, this one is very specific to one that was a magazine. This was a local magazine. In fact, it was one of the local towns that's a suburb of San Antonio that has their own magazine. This was the agreement that I gave to them. You're going to change something like this to whatever's appropriate for what you're doing, of course. It's that easy. We can assure that there is no obligation for any purchase, which is the truth by far. By the way, occasionally I had students sit in on my portrait selection consultations. And I'm picturing one in particular. After it was done, and they left, the family left, this photographer who sat in on this presentation just looked at me, stared at me, and really didn't say anything for a moment. And her jaw just kind of dropped. She said, "How did you do that? What just happened? You weren't pushy. There was no sales going on there at all. And when you told them the price, they just handed you the credit card. You put the total amount down and they walk out happy. How did you do that?" And by the way, I remember the amount. It was $4,100, which was pretty average. I mean, that's a little bit more than average, but pretty normal. $4,100. And so, how did I do that? because if you're being pushy with your sales, you're doing it wrong. So therefore, there is no obligation for purchase and absolutely no pressure sales tactics. I don't need to do it. I wouldn't be good at it. I don't like salespeople who are pushy. I bet you don't either. So no pressure sales tactics are used. Everyone is able to make an additional purchase if they choose. At any time, if either party chooses not to continue with the alliance, this alliance is canceled immediately. And then you can see the formatting is off. Then I get them to sign it, and I sign it, and we date it. So that is that's what I give them to sign. And so bonus marketing to potential alliances once you get your first. After you have your first successful alliance, you are going to get a testimonial from that alliance. That makes it easy for you to get the next one. Testimonials work. They do. So here is a sample of one that I send. I'll give you this one too, another time to do. Let's see, screen share. And again, I think you should do a screen grab of this. This is a sample alliance contact letter with a testimonial. That means I already have one or more, and I'm using that as a testimonial. So a few days ago, we sent you some basic information about our marketing alliance program. This is a perfect way to give a valuable gift to your clients. And best of all, it costs you nothing. And it builds customer loyalty and great word of mouth advertising. You can be associated with one of your area. So for me, it's San Antonio's top portrait artists. And once again, it's free. Just look below to see how much, and then you put in the name of that alliance you already have, values our relationship. And then I put their testimonial here, what it is that they shared with me. And so I'm not going to read that testimonial. Again, do a screenshot. But that's what happens there. And then I finish it by saying, call us today to see how your business can also benefit from our marketing alliance program. You've got nothing to lose and clients to gain. So that's how I do that. Now, I want you guys to, I'm going to give you guys some homework. So I want you to write this down. And let's see, looks like Stephen asked a question. What percentage of your final sales do large prints usually account for? Now, as far as the way I do my pricing, it's not based on a percentage, but in the spirit of this question, it's the majority. The majority of my profit comes from print sales. I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, Steve, but the vast majority of my profits come from print sales. If you're curious if I sell digital files, yes, I do. If someone asks me, let's say someone calls and says, do you sell your digital files? I say, yes, I do, but it is not the most economical choice. But yes, I do sell digital files. If you're curious, I sell them for at least $350 each one. So $350. I charge $350 for an 8x10, and I'm thinking that it's worth at least an 8x10. Because I mean, how much are you actually spending on an 8x10? When you get your print at Digital Pro Lab, it's $1.50, $1.95, $2.50, $4. It depends on what you have done, but for the most part, incredibly cheap. What's the difference for you though? Just that amount, because you're spending the same amount of time doing all of your post-production work, your artwork, whether it's Photoshop, Lightroom, whatever you use. Your amount of investment of time remains about the same. So therefore, why should your income change? So for me, it doesn't. So if they want an 8x10, $350. If they want a digital file, $350. It takes me about the same amount of time. The only difference is that $3 that I spent at Digital Pro Lab. That's the only difference. That's pennies. That's nothing. So yeah, that's how I choose to do that. Thank you for asking about that question, Stephen. Let's see. I do see that I've gone over, but here's your homework. Good. Thank you, Steve. All right. you have, I want you to make a list, and you know what? Let me share the screen. That way you can do a screen share. Because I have these here, screen share. All right. So I do a screen grab of this, but here is your homework, your action steps for today's episode. I want you to make a list of companies that target the same people that you target or that you want to target. Obviously, you have got to do a good description of who you want to work with before you can do this. But I'm assuming you already know who you want to work with. Second thing, find out who to contact at those companies. How do you do that? A lot of times it's on their company website. So it makes it kind of easy. But other times I just go and I ask. Next, database. If you don't have a database, are you in business? You have to have a database. You've got to collect information on everyone you work with, both on the alliance and sponsorship side and your clients and your vendors that you work with. You need to keep a record of all this stuff. You need to have first name, last name, business name, phone, address, email, and everything else that's appropriate. Database. Next, create a telephone script for when you're calling them. What are you going to say? You have to be able to find what it is you're doing. Next, create an initial contact letter. You saw that a little while ago. Create your marketing agreement. Again, you saw that just a little while ago. And then I want you to create your alliance marketing and sponsorship procedure manual. I want you to thoroughly think this thing through. What are the steps in order that you're going to do to make this stuff happen? And once you have an alliance, how are you going to nurture that relationship? Let me give you one cool one, just so you know what I'm talking about nurturing, because I didn't mention that before. Let's say I'm working with a realtor, and they have sent me their client. I photographed that client. I am most likely going to do this at their home. Almost always, when it's a new house that someone's moved into, the session is at their home, in their backyard and front yard, inside. And so I choose one of those photographs, and I get 4 cards printed with their photograph, the favorite photograph, on the outside and blank on the inside. Get them printed in digital roll-up. And then I have 4 because I'm going to take this to that client, and I'm going to say, I'm giving you 3. And they're going to say, but there's 4. Mm-hmm. I want you to write a thank you note to Ron Mersinger, the real estate agent, saying thank you for what you did for us to get this house and for giving us this wonderful gift. And I have them do it right there in front of me. Just write a quick thank you note. And then I stick it in the envelope. I've already written my return address and the Ron Mersinger, the real estate, and I just chose somebody I know who's a realtor. I know a lot of realtors. So sorry if any of you guys are realtors and I'm not mentioning you. But I put his name and address, and I tell him I'll take care of it. I put a stamp on it, and at the next post office box I find, I put it in the mail. That's one way I nurture a relationship. It looks like it came from them. And it did. I just helped make it happen. If those alliances are getting responses like that from their clients, I guarantee you they're going to want more of that. And so it just keeps on keeping on. It works. The last thing on your homework is to put all that into a 3-ring binder. Have a home for it. And so let me show you one of mine. This is one that I did with a magazine called Chavano Living, and this was several years ago. And there's another one that was Stonewall Living. So I've done several over the years. But it even do the spine, but I have 3-ring binders, and inside is all the clients that I worked with, all the different steps that I took with them. And so you can see some of these are filled out in here, where it's all the different steps that I took in order to make that happen. You can see all the different steps. And by the way, if you guys want to know more about this particular subject, there's a ton more that I can teach, that I can do. An hour is just not enough time for this kind of subject. And so if you want more of this stuff, and by the way, this was one of the most successful programs for me as far as the alliance marketing. It brought in so much business that I never had to do any advertising. I hardly ever posted anything on Facebook. I didn't buy any ads. It worked. So if you guys want that, well, reach out to me, because that's what I do. That's how I make money, is by helping photographers in this way, free, but also in private classes. And so please reach out to Landers Photography School. Jim at landersphotoschool.com is how you reach me via email. Let me look at your comments just in case. Chuck asked, contact letter. Yeah, I'll put that up real quick. So share that contact letter. Are you talking about this one or the one previous? This is the one I send that has a testimonial. And so if you want the one with the testimonial, do a screenshot of this real quick. Do a screenshot, and I'll move over to the other one also. All right, hopefully you got that. Let's move on to the next one. That's my marketing alliance agreement. So do a quick screenshot of that. And just in case he was asking about the first one that I showed you, there's the first one. And again, this is too simple. You're going to need to add specifics into this. This is bare bones. This is too bare bones. Don't send it like this. Got to add your own stuff to it. Your observations, the connection that you had with the person you spoke with. So I'm hoping that you have that. And stop sharing. Someone asked, can you share the course name? It's Alliance Marketing. If you want to do just that one, but if there's a total of 9 different ones that I do that are just amazing, and you kind of pick and choose the ones you want, because there's no reason to do all 9 of them. They work too well, but they definitely bring in a qualified, a steady flow of qualified leads. Using these tools. But we have one that's coming up, I think the 3rd week of August. I haven't announced it yet, but it's called Essential Marketing. And I only do this class once a year. It's 9 sessions. It's called Essential Marketing. So when I do start sending the marketing out for it, I will mention it here during the Portrait Profit Show. And you'll see it on the Landers Photo School page, the Facebook page, as well as if you are on our email list. By the way, that's probably the best thing to do, is get on the email list. So go to landersphotoschool.com, and up in the top, click on Get Email Updates. That way you know. You got them, Chuck. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Steve, thank you for saying that. Brian, I don't know what the wow's for, but I hope it's a good wow. Sometimes when my wife says wow, it's not a positive. But I bet yours is. Thank you, Julie. Let's see. All right, I think I got most of these in. By the way, I'm just looking through the comments because I want to make sure I didn't forget any. I didn't miss any questions. Did I miss anything? No, of course. Thank you. I wish I knew your name. It just says Facebook user. By the way, down at the bottom of the post, it allows you to add your name so that when you make a comment, it actually shows you. It shows a photograph and it shows your name, but you have to enable that in order for that to happen. All right. Well, because of the time, not because I don't want to continue talking about this stuff, because I love this stuff. But I need to close this out so you guys can get back to work and put this kind of stuff in action. I want to let you know about next week on Monday. That is July 26th. We're going to have Understanding Contracts with a person who's both an attorney and a photographer, Alicia Calzada. So put that on your calendars. That's a week from today at noon, Understanding Contracts. And then 2 weeks away from today is Big Profits from Mini Sessions. So put those on your calendar. Again, it's every single Monday. Almost every Monday it's at noon, but on the second Monday of every single month, Portrait Profits is at 6:30, just to be able to accommodate those who can't make it to lunch. But either way, it is sitting in the news feed, and you can watch it again later. Chances are some of these things I went through a little bit quickly, and you'll want to watch it again later. But I want to thank you for being here today. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, this is the Portrait Profits Show, bringing you the weekly Portrait Profits, bringing you evolving content, awareness, and even fun to the business side of photography. We provide helpful information, step-by-step processes, how-to articles, and action steps that will help you with the struggles that you're dealing with now, so that you're constantly realigned to the path that leads to the success you deserve. Thank you for being here. Help share what we're doing so that more people are uplifted and make a really good living in photography. Thank you, guys. Goodbye for now.